Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Effects Loop. I am your host, Jay Byrne. This week, we are revisiting a classic. A classic vibe, that is. What we've got here is a Squier Classic Vibe 60's Custom Telecaster. 100% designed by Fender. It has vintage-style tuning machines, a maple neck, a Nyato body, Indian laurel fingerboard with a bone nut. It has a slim C-shaped neck profile with a 9.5 radius. This guitar plays and looks beautiful.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
What do I got to say about this now? Like a year, actually, oh God, it's been more than a year. It's been probably close to 2 years later. I've had this guitar. And what do I have to say about it? Do I still like it? Well, yes, I do. Actually, this is one of my favorite guitars. This is one of the guitars I pick up and play 24/7. When I first got this guitar, I did change some stuff out. I changed out the bridge. I put this Wilkinson bridge with the brass saddles in it. Why? Because people said I should do that, so I did it. But honestly, I kind of just wanted brass saddles. And to be really honest with you, the bridge, it comes with these silver, like bent steel saddles. And they had a very bright, zingy sound to them. And the this Wilkinson bridge with the brass saddles actually kind of tames that a little bit. And it gives it a nicer tone, I thought. As soon as I put the bridge on here, I noticed a pretty big difference in the sound. That was probably, yeah, I mean, because I had been thinking about changing the pickups in this thing as well, but I never got around to it. I've never changed the pickups. These are the stock pickups. I just adjusted them a little bit better, and that was that. When I first got this guitar, the first one that I got from Squier, this is in full disclosure, I am going to let you know that how my process went with this guitar, because you see a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos out there right now. People are talking about Squiers and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be interesting to, maybe talk a little bit more about my Squiers. When I first bought the guitar, it showed up broken. Basically, the neck was broken off of it. So I was pretty ticked off. I bought it directly from Fender. So I sent it back, they sent me another one, and that's the one they sent me. And it was fine for the most part, as far as I could tell. Yeah, it had some fret. The frets were a little pokey. I had to do some, a little bit of work on the frets. Nothing crazy. I didn't fully re-level the frets or anything like that. It had a wonky or so tuner, so I did at one point, I had also gotten a Classic Vibe 60's red Strat, and when I bought that had some bad tuners on it. So I found this thing on eBay, this business on eBay that sells basically the parts that those guitars are made out of. So it was like 20 bucks, and I ordered a brand new set of tuners. And they were the exact same tuners. Tried putting them in the Strat, but for whatever reason the Strat had different issues that was kind of annoying. But this right here, I just swapped out. It was like two tuners that were a little bit wonky, and now the tuners are pretty solid. I mean, they're just as good as any other vintage style tuner that I've ever come across. So yeah. said, I considered changing the pickups, but I never got around to it because the middle position on this guitar, it sounds so nice. It's just got this really sweet middle position that sounds great. When I play the guitar, I'm constantly playing it in the middle position. I mean, you can get that bright telly twang if you put it on the bridge, but in the middle position, it sounds quite nice as far as I'm concerned. The only other problem I ever had with this guitar within like the year or two that I've had the guitar was one of these pots, the volume pot, was always a little scratchy and just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I ended up, from the same seller on eBay, buying aftermarket, the same pots. I could have replaced them and put different pots, and I was thinking about doing that. But I had never done that before. I had never taken the pots out, soldered everything back into place, which was a project. And I kind of got it wrong, and then I had to fix it. But I did eventually get it right. And I ended up getting the exact same pots that come in this. So I put a brand new pot in there. The tone pot has never given me any problems, and it's perfect. It works no problem. The volume was the one that was a little bit of a problem. The switch, people talk about the electronics on these type of guitars being a little bit cheap and a little bit junky. I've had this for like, what I say, almost 2 years now. And with the switch and whatnot, I haven't had any issues. The switch works fine. Other than that, that one volume pot going on me, which I replaced, which wasn't a big deal. It's been fine. And I mean, this is stuff that you might have to do with a Fender, like a legit custom shop or something like that. I mean, maybe you wouldn't have to do it so soon. Maybe it would last longer than that, but you just never know what you're going to get. Quality control these days is not what it used to be, so you have no idea what you're going to get as far as a guitar is concerned. I'd say 7 out of 10 times you're going to get a decent guitar. There's that, they're those outliers that show up that you might get a junk guitar. Especially considering it's Squier and it's cheaper. These guitars retail for just under $500, okay? And I gotta say, for the price, this thing is rock solid. I play this guitar all the time. I mean, it's not super heavy. It's got, the weight of a light Les Paul, maybe like 8 pounds or so. 7.5, 8 pounds. The neck feels great on this guitar. It's very comfortable. I like the feel of it. The action on these guitars, I've found, since it's kind of going for a more vintage style, it doesn't want super, super low action. Like, you could do it if you wanted to do a full fret dress and bring it down and stuff. I'm sure you could get the action very, very low. But the lower the action gets, it can get a little splashy sounding. So you get that zingy sound, which is a Telecaster trait, unfortunately. But you do get a bit of a zingy sound from the frets when you get it too low. I'm totally cool with 5/64 on the low E and 4/64 on the high. To me, that's like medium action for most people. But I find that very comfortable. And occasionally, I will say, these necks, they're maple necks, and this is not a rosewood fretboard. I can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's Indian Laurel, but it looks fine. You condition it up, it looks nice. These particular necks, I've noticed, have a tendency to shift a bit. So if you're gonna buy one of these guitars, you kind of need to be comfortable adjusting the truss rod on your guitar. Because every once in a while, I mean, I live on the East Coast, so the weather's very changeable. Some days it's freezing, some days it's hot. And the necks on my guitars will shift. So I do need to do a tiny bit of adjustment on the truss rod every once in a while. Haven't had any real issues with that. You know, a few tweaks to flatten out the board, and you know, within a day or so, the thing's playing beautifully. Like right now, the action feels quite comfortable on this as far as I'm concerned. So there it is. It's a pretty solid guitar. If you're comfortable with doing a tiny bit of work on a guitar, I'm not talking a ton. I'm not talking like, you know, you have to rebuild the whole thing. But if you're comfortable, you know, with a little bit of fretwork, maybe fixing some of the pokey frets, conditioning the guitar, maybe fixing a tuner, adjusting your truss rod. If these are things that you're cool with and you're used to it, then you can get a really solid guitar with these Squier Classic Vibes. And yeah, I mean, I've played real Fenders, I've played Squiers, I've played Mexican Fenders, which is essentially what this is the equivalent of a Mexican Fender. Although actually the Fender player is the equivalent of the Mexican Fender. But I like the way this plays better than the player series, to be really honest with you. And I like the more vintage appointments of this guitar better than the player series. The player series tends to focus or push towards a more modern look. I like the bound look and everything. And I haven't had any problems with the binding or anything like that. So yeah, what do I think? I think it's a great guitar. I think this is this is kind of my, I wouldn't call it my number one, but it's the one I play the most at home. I mean, I play humbuckers mostly if I'm playing out live or doing anything like that, but as far as a guitar that I pick up all the time and play when I'm at home, this is the guitar. When I want to play clean, this is the guitar. I've recorded a lot of tracks with this guitar. It sounds great recorded. So yeah, so revisiting a classic vibe, huh? What do I think about it a couple years later? I think it's awesome, and I think with a few minor adjustments, potential fixes here and there, you can get a really solid guitar, and a really solid guitar for considerably little money. Just under 500 bucks. I have no desire to buy a real Fender Telecaster. I've thought about it. I figured this would be like my gateway drug, you know, and then I would go and buy a real one. I have no desire to. Like, I am totally happy with this Telecaster. And I've had it for a while, and it's going nowhere. So, for what it's worth, that's my opinion. Squier Classic Vibe. What do we call this? A custom Telecaster. 60's custom Telecaster. This thing's rock solid. And if you get a good one with a little bit of work, it's worth it. Hi, my name is Jay Byrne. I am the creator of the Effects Loop and the SFX Loop. It's come to my attention after looking at my YouTube analytics that the majority of my viewers are not subscribed. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. If you have something to say, leave a comment in the comment section below. Maybe click the notification bell so that way if I make a new video, you'll be notified and you can check it out if it's something that you're interested in. If you like this stuff, like, subscribe, and comment. And I thank you for watching and supporting the Effects Loop and the SFX Loop.